Hello, everyone. Welcome to the One for the Road podcast. My name is Mr. K. I'm representing the Eagles. Alongside me, C Squared. He didn't get the Chiefs jersey I sent him. So,
I didn't. Yeah, I'm telling you, I should have ordered off Amazon.
so if you can guess, this is our first annual Super Bowl podcast, second podcast ever. Uh, we're going to break down the game. We're going to tell you who wins. We're going to make some bold predictions. We're going to give you some betting advice, bold prop predictions to help you win as much money as humanly possible. We are the experts of all that is football.
Aren't you glad you tuned in? What a
Right,
huge money making opportunity this
right.
is.
But unfortunately, we're not going to do any of that stuff. So Chris is a casual fan. I'm a diehard. You don't want to listen to me gab about the game and the particulars and have Chris go, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. So we're going to bond on a topic we absolutely love, which is music. And we're going to do the halftime Super Bowl shows. So,
You
format of the show is we're going to talk a little bit about the 2025 performers, which I know Chris is avidly looking forward to hearing their musical talents. Uh, we thought we'd go over a brief history of the Super Bowl acts. There's been 59 of them. We will not detail all 59. There is an arguable pattern to the way they've done Super Bowl halftime shows. And we thought we'd do a segment of the best and the worst. We thought we'd do a segment on why haven't these people played at the Super Bowl? A dream list that me and Chris would like to see play at the Super Bowl, and then we'll conclude with it's not going to happen, but dead or alive groups that should have played the Super Bowl. So
absolutely, and I could think a ton of them.
yes, so
Unfortunately,
that'll
with
be an
the
interesting part of the show.
consolidation of the music business and the aging aspect of that demographic, I'm not holding my breath anytime soon.
Right. So the 2025 performers are Kendrick Lamar and Sousa. Chris, do you know any Kendrick Lamar songs that you'd like to sing to us?
Let me think. No.
Well, you could have done all right and you'd be halfway home.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, my rapping skills are a little bit rough as I'm on a 2 day old shave, getting ready for to be a true Super Bowl fan.
Yes, that's right.
From home, of course, since I
Oh,
don't have
yes. Yes.
$12,000 for a seat.
Yes, we did. The New Orleans plane tickets failed to reach us, so we will not be
Exactly.
at the game, unfortunately.
along
But
along along with the Kansas City jersey.
right, right.
And I should bet against Amazon, man. I'm not getting what I want.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Take that up with Bezos. Uh, so Kendrick Lamar, give you a little bit of background. I read a little bit. According to Wikipedia, he's the greatest rapper of all time, Chris. So this is what you're missing out on.
Interesting. And see, I voted. This is gonna show my age. I voted for Snoop Dogg myself.
Yeah. And I believe Snoop Dogg has played a Super Bowl, just not this year. This, by chance, is Kendrick Lamar's second Super Bowl. He was part of a conglomerate, I can say that word, of rappers who performed in a earlier Super Bowl. We have all the data right here,
They
folks.
must have got a deal on the second showing.
Another unknown fact I didn't know about Kendrick Lamar: he won the Pulitzer Prize in music. He is so prolific.
Righty then.
So, his
I
music
shouldn't be
videos.
that critical. However, I am that critical about the music business.
Right.
I've actually um, Beato web channel came out with their list of the best 2024 stuff, and I had to write some comments about what he actually played out there, and that there were quite a few artists that didn't make his list because their labels are nobody labels.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's weird.
Rick Beato. I'm sorry, I couldn't come up with Rick's first name.
Sousa, I don't know much about her. Another fellow rapper. I will admit they did a duet together called All the Stars, which is quite good. I anticipate them singing that during the halftime show. The other thing I want to bring up about Kendrick Lamar, I give him props. His music videos are really cool. Some of them are in black and white, but high def black and white.
Yep.
And really good sceneries. I would highly recommend it.
I will have to look at some of those, John, just for the aspect of I do like film production. I do like black and white. I do like adjusted frame rates on cameras and stuff of that nature.
Yes, yes. His music videos are quite good. I will give him props for that. Some of the content, I was alarmed by the swearing and stuff. I really don't think those are going to come out during the Super Bowl. I mean, there's going to be kids watching, so All the Stars is a clean song. I definitely see them singing that.
Well, you never know. Hopefully he's on the 7-second delay there.
Right. That's true. Hopefully they have many run-throughs to make sure.
Right, exactly. Well, you can have a wardrobe malfunction. You can also,
right. That'll come up.
I'm not sure if your mouth and your mic are part of the wardrobe.
The wardrobe malfunction. A great Super Bowl halftime moment for America, I think, was the wardrobe malfunction.
Quite entertaining. Me being an old rock guy, I can't imagine that lots of people who can afford $12,000 for a ticket are not older in that same demographic and would like to see some rock and roll.
Right.
So I guess you get what you get. And they're not too interested in what people actually think.
Right. So I thought we'd go right into a very brief history of Super Bowl halftime acts. And folks, from 65 to about 90, it is marching bands. It's with We Up With People. There are no legendary acts in like the first 20 years of this list. The first major act was New Kids on the Block.
What? And amuse us, John, with your list. What year was that?
So I'm looking it up now.
85?
That's 91.
Oh, okay.
Super Bowl 25. So let's just put it really quick, folks. 1 through 24 was marching bands and We Up With People or whatever. I mean, it's just so it's the 60s and 70s and 80s. So go out, get drunk, because the Super Bowl halftime show is not worth your time. And it's long too. I mean, they had like 3 or 4 marching bands in the first one. I mean, it was crazy. It was just, all right, everybody, let's get liquored up for the second half. That's the first 24 years of the Super Bowl, folks.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know what would have been a really original idea is if they would have had in one of those first ones Joe Namath actually sing. Didn't he do a Vegas act for a little while?
He was on TV a lot.
I was going to say, I thought he did sing. I don't want Dog Joe.
Let's see. Right after New Kids on the Block, they had Gloria Estefan and Skaters because it was in Minnesota. So that was weird. But the first real big one, 1993, Super Bowl 27, Michael Jackson.
That's pretty big.
That was no turning back. We've had pretty much mainstream acts after that. The year after, they did a foursome of country acts. Year after that, they did a fivesome of soul acts. Super Bowl 30's Diana Ross.
Nah, there's something there too.
I'm not going to go through all of these. We're in the 30s
downhill.
We're into the 90s. The 90s ushered in, let's get some mainstream acts. Let's get people interested in watching the halftime show as opposed to going out and get blasted.
Hey.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
They sound so much better by the time you've been drinking for 2 quarters.
Some other I'm just going to bring up some memorable ones. Super Bowl 35 was Aerosmith and NSYNC and Britney Spears.
One out of 3. What did Meatloaf say? 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah. Super Bowl 36, one of my favorites, U2.
That, was probably...
They played some really good songs. We'll jump ahead. Super Bowl 38 was the debacle, the wardrobe malfunction, Janet and the Lake, Timberlake.
Now,
Kid Rock, Nelly, and Jessica Simpson to just
debacle
make a total mess.
Might not be the word. Most popular halftime show might be the word.
The most popular. So I remember that Super Bowl, dude. I watched that Super Bowl with you at your brother's house.
Oh, yeah.
It went against the Lingerie Bowl, and we watched the Lingerie Bowl.
That's right. That's right.
And missed the malfunction. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
After the debacle, like this,
brilliant.
So they went from one extreme to the next. They went, okay, we've had the wardrobe malfunction. Who can we bring in to save us? Paul McCartney.
Yeah, okay.
After that, let's keep on to this theme. Wicked popular 60s acts who are still alive, the Rolling Stones.
There you go.
And then your favorite, Prince. In the pouring rain in Miami, the last artist to play in a non-domed and in the rain.
Yeah, I will tell you what. I will say hats off to that, because I have seen at least one group get shocked, not at the Super Bowl, but actually, yes, a live mic with a cord in the rain is can be a shocking performance.
I think flirting with disaster.
Exactly. Exactly.
So after the golden oldies, they were like, let's go into rock a little bit. Prince, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Year after, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band are the next 3. After we dialed it back to the 60s, let's get some 70s and 80s rockers. So we'll go with Prince, Tom Petty, and the Boss.
Yeah,
also, right after the Boss
is always a favorite. Who doesn't like Tom Petty?
Right. And that was a great move. They end with the Who. So after
and that's
they
great
do the Who.
In spite of facts that you had brought up earlier, that Rolling Stone was not kind to the Who. The bottom line is that what a great act.
Oh my God, yeah. I loved it. I mean, I had them up in my top 10. Others didn't think so. Little past their prime. We're talking 2010. I mean, these dudes were hottest thing in the world in what, 68?
Well, I will tell you what, in the 80s, they were the biggest touring band
True.
ever.
True.
I mean,
True.
82. I can remember, John, and I'll just bring this up. It went before the Albert Gore, i.e., interweb. You had things cable and console video games were all the rage, kids, and there was a little thing called pay-per-view. And in 1992, The Who did a concert on pay-per-view for $60, and it was all the rage. People had house parties to see The Who on pay-per-view for $60.
Yeah.
So hats off to them at that point in time. It was just,
hey, I'm a big fan of The Who. After that, what Rolling Stone called the worst act ever, worse than even the marching bands, the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, okay. I roughly remember that.
Yes. Yeah. I thought they were pretty good. Rolling Stone did not.
Well, and where were, I want to know, in early to mid 90s where the Grateful Dead was, for the love of God.
Yes. Yes. Why they didn't play is a shame.
It's a shame.
Now, after The Who, they went back to let's get some 90s and 80s groups. After the Black Eyed Peas was Madonna, then Katy Perry, then Coldplay, then Lady Gaga. I like Lady Gaga. I thought she's really a showman, I think, just like Michael Jackson and Madonna, like in that realm, like really good at entertainment. And I liked it a lot. Then we go Justin Timberlake, Maroon 5, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, The Weeknd. Now you're starting to lose us. We're in the 2020s, our decade, and this is when you start to lose the 50-year-old white dudes.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez, The Weeknd, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, your buddy.
There you are. Now we like Snoop. We like Snoop Dogg. And
2022, 56. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, the greatest rappers ever, accordingly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Snoop does some other stuff.
Yes.
I mean, he's not about babbling stuff to just a beat. There's something to some of Snoop's stuff. I have admittedly played out Juice and Gin as a cover at one time in my illustrious career.
Rihanna 52 in 2023. I'll tell you, I saw that. I hardly knew any of Rihanna's songs, but as she started singing them and performing them, I was like, oh, I've heard this song. It was really good.
Yeah.
Usher in 2024, and we're to today, Lamar and Sousa this Sunday. So that's the brief history of the acts. Chris, out of some of those names, who are your favorites?
I have to go with The Who, The Stones. I'm going to be boring. I'm going to be a rock and roller. I can take Snoop Dogg. Michael Jackson, hats off to him. The ultimate entertainer in my mind. Why? Because he started doing that gig when he was 5 years old. Before he went to school, he was doing the entertainment gigs. The bottom line is that it's pretty hard to beat somebody that has that level, who has like literally 35 years in the industry before they're 40.
Right. I mean, the King of Pop. The King of Pop. He's a legendary musician and entertainer.
Again, I'm going to go back to the Rick Beato stuff. and say that the consolidation of the music industry kind of ruined the music industry, and that's why you have such trashy entertainment playing at the Super Bowl, because of the fact that that industry has never recovered.
Right.
The consolidation of radio stations, the consolidation of music labels, and then basically the failure of most music labels because of things like Spotify and other music streaming services, who basically pay veteran rock and rollers $13 every 3 months for and that comes from somebody that I was hanging out with. It will remain nameless, but very famous drummer to a metal act who had many million selling records told me that he got a check for $13.78
Oh my
for
God.
all his stuff like that. So yeah, exactly.
That's definitely changed.
Yeah, to say the least. Anyway, back to what entertainment can we get on this stage
right.
for the low price of.
I remember the Super Bowl where it rained. I didn't remember Prince. I went back and watched it. It is unbelievably great in my mind. Rolling Stone had it the best. I had U2 in number one because I remember when U2 played, but I couldn't remember when Prince played. And on review, in the pouring rain, the dude was just cranking it, and unbelievable guitar solos. He did
that's downright dangerous.
Hendrix tribute during it that was unreal.
Now, yeah, where was Hendrix in the '69 Super Bowl?
Again, the dream list, and there were opportunities,
and not just that, John. Where was he in the '69 Super Bowl? The only man who was at the time playing the Star Spangled Banner on the electric guitar. Come on,
it would have been perfect, but let's have marching bands instead.
Right? Yeah. They hadn't quite evolved. The business model hadn't quite evolved yet,
and the Super Bowl itself hadn't evolved either. It was it's the football championship game, everybody, and we're going to have it at a neutral site. And that's kind of like the feel for the first 5 years, 65 to 70, is it's not a big thing. It's just the NFL championship game.
Yeah, right. Until they realized how much money there was to be
made on it. Yes. Then it's like, oh, why are we selling this out every year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and why? And with all this viewership on television set, why aren't we getting more money for the commercial time?
Right. Exactly.
At this point.
Exactly. I had forgotten Petty played. I love Petty, and I saw the set list. I saw a little bit of the clips. It was really good.
It's hard.
I like the Who.
I love what I've seen Petty a bunch of times, and it's hard not to say that it was just a solid act. And the guy wrote 8 bazillion songs that got tons of radio play, and albums worth of songs that got radio play in the day. And from album number 1 all the way through to his last record. And he just seemed to write pop radio, rock and roll, and it worked. And,
I forgot Bruce played. I like Bruce. I'm not a huge fan. I've never been to any of his concerts, but
he's got a good band.
He can write a song. He can sing.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a solid band. The Street was super solid.
Yeah.
And, not a huge fan, but I would have preferred more rock and rollers play, but
yes,
or even some solid country acts and stuff like that.
And they've had a few, but not many. country act.
Is Hank Williams Jr. anywhere in that list? I thought I
No,
almost wanted.
I don't think
No,
I don't think he's ever played the
no.
Super
And
Bowl.
he wrote like their theme song for a
Right, right.
while.
Monday
Come
Night
on,
Football.
man.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
They've had very few country acts, which is kind of bizarre. A lot of the teams are in the South.
yeah, right, right.
A lot of
Yeah.
teams who are playing the Super Bowl are in the South. I
Yeah,
mean,
right, right. No, exactly. Where's Vince Gill, man,
right,
hardest working
right.
guitar player
Yeah, yeah,
in rock and roll,
yeah.
and
Just
kind
briefly,
of
female
Cincinnati
art.
native,
Sorry.
and kind of Cincinnati native, and
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
He's been through here. Played with Pure Prairie League for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Just briefly, some female acts I liked. I did like Katy Perry. Again, it was more the showmanship. She did some like wild stuff with effects, and it was just visually unbelievable. And I think she's got an above average voice, and I think she's an above average talent. People call me weird. I like her.
Yeah, the nature of the act was a little creepy for me, but we won't go down
Yeah.
that path. That's for another episode.
Right. And then there's Lady Gaga. I liked Lady Gaga. I'm not running to these people's concerts. I'll listen, I'll enjoy their music. I'm aware of their work. And again, Lady Gaga does really good effects and costume changes and stuff like that. And I'm not gonna go there. I'm just gonna go. I mean, they're basically ripping off Bowie. I mean, she's kind of doing the Bowie thing with multiple costume changes and trying to be really avant-garde.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Now, if you recall the one time that we went to Vegas, John, and Huey Lewis as the entertainment canceled and they had KC and the Sunshine Band. What I am thinking now with the online gambling scenario where you can bet on the next play, I am wondering if you could have KC and the Sunshine Band and we could bet how long it is before he has a coronary on stage.
The over and under is 78 seconds.
Track the over and the under. Right. It's like,
So let's
I'm not
go
sure
into
what he's doing these days.
let's go into the segment. Why haven't these people played the Super Bowl? Are there any acts alive today, popular or still around, that you'd like to see play the halftime Super Bowl show? I've got a few.
Shucks. I'd like to see a jam band myself.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could send millions of emails and not have that happen. Yeah. How about widespread panic? How about
yes, widespread panic.
yeah, exactly. That'd be a huge one. How about like Tedeschi Trucks or somebody like that?
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, but I am, and it's ironic. I'm going to go into this, John. At one time, the Jazzak, the Pat Metheny group, used to play Europe, and they played like stadium grade stuff. Now, I don't know if it was a rugby game or whatever that they were, but with, as many people as the Super Bowl. And you would never see anything like that in the US.
Right. Right.
And the entire crowd of tens of thousands of people are actually, humming the melody to
Wow.
one of his songs. I mean, now that was, of course, at the height of that era when he was doing jazz, which I think is like
Right.
the 80s, the mid 80s in Europe. The bottom line is that would you ever see anything like that in the Super Bowl these days,
Right.
or any sporting event? And
Right.
I can remember seeing the band Rare Earth in the late 60s, early 70s, playing the halftime event at a Canadian hockey, NHL hockey.
Oh, neat.
And that is on
Wow.
YouTube. And it's quite
Ah,
and it is quite entertaining. Talk about funk. There you are. I want to see a funk act.
yes.
Give me some funk, man.
Really. That would be good. I wrote a few down. I like Sia from Australia. She has some really cool songs like Titanium and Elastic Heart. I'm just a big fan. I think her songs are really rocking too, so I think they'd go well with the Super Bowl. I really like the Killers, kind of a traditional rock band with some synthesizer. They were very popular in the 90s.
So I'm going to say this now that you brought that up. Have they ever had a heavy metal act play?
No,
That's what
no, good
I
point.
had to ask. That's what I
They have
thought.
never,
Had a
never.
heavy metal act. I am not a huge heavy
Oh,
metal.
Aerosmith. Aerosmith, I guess. They
Yeah,
did.
yeah, they
That's as
still
close as they
go in
got, I
the
think.
rock category. I'm talking about like a serious, what was considered a metal act, Judas Priest.
Right. They never
Oh,
had Guns N'
somebody like that,
Roses.
Metallica,
With the
somebody like that.
Slash played with the Black Eyed Peas, and people are like, "What's he doing there?"
Yeah, right, exactly.
Aerosmith, I think, is as close as they got, and we're talking what Aerosmith in 2000 is when they played
Right.
once.
Yeah, 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 right, right.
But that's a very good point. No Van Halen ever.
Yeah, yeah, right,
I mean,
exactly.
they blew the 80s. The 80s, they had all these groups. None of them played. And even after
Right,
when they
right.
had a great chance, they got, Madonna. And they got a few of them, but it's like, yeah, it was
Odd,
pretty
odd that, yeah, and so I can't believe that Eddie Van Halen wasn't asked to play with Michael Jackson.
right.
And
Right. You're
at a
right.
point
Exactly.
to do some lead.
I was thinking if they want to go back in the country, I would get Jelly Roll and Chris Stapleton to do a
Chris
country.
Stapleton's a good thought. That's
Yes,
a real
he
good
is the
thought.
unbelievable guitarist. I saw
Yeah.
him live 2 years ago.
Yep.
What else I got? I was thinking Green Day.
Yeah.
Popular, everybody knows their songs,
Yeah. Yeah. They were big in the 90s.
and
Sure. I can't.
toured recently too. So
Yeah.
there's this group, Reluctant Monkey. You think they got a
Oh
shot?
my God, dude. They would not let the players come back on if a band like that played. And they would just be, the crowd would be in such a frenzy. They would be going ape shit.
That's what I'm thinking. Apropos.
Apropos.
All right, let's go to not gonna happen, but would have been great. You mentioned a few: Hendrix, Dead or Alive, probably out of commission. Any acts that and we're talking 65 to today. So
Yeah,
they had some
right.
chances.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And even, and you had bands like that. You had 65, you still had the Beatles.
Yes,
I mean, there you go. You still, and they let Paul McCartney play, I guess, but
yes.
pale comparison to the rest of the band. And it's like, so you look at that aspect and say you had the Beatles, you did let the Stones play, but why didn't you let them play when they were, when they didn't have to come on stage with walkers? So,
The stage is
yeah,
great, Keith.
exactly. No offense. Plenty of great 70s acts.
I
And
mean, the Dead,
think of the Dead.
the
There you
Dead.
go, man.
They could have had the Dead.
Yeah, there you are, man. You could have had the Bee Gees too.
Oh,
There you are, man.
staying alive.
That's right. Well, they were still alive. Huge.
Right.
And I
Right.
will say I am not the most huge disco fan, but Barry Gibb had a voice. He didn't even need backup singers. He was
Right.
his own
Right.
backup
Right.
singer.
I mean, phenomenal talent, has written tons of great songs and great songs for other people. So Bee
Yeah.
Gees would have been great. I had the Doors.
The Doors, there you go, man.
I was thinking the Doors. I was
I
like,
think
could have had the
they
Doors in
would have been
'68.
considered way too dark. You know, the story is they were very put out because they were uninvited to Woodstock because they felt like Jim Morrison's content was too dark for
Right.
that to sing to a crowd of 600,000.
And the thing is, he did play in some baseball and football stadiums like Shea and Miami, where the Dolphins played,
Right.
and things got out of hand.
Imagine
'Cause
that.
they were dragging Jim off the stage in Miami and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah, it's shocking, but it did happen.
Yeah.
Who else did
So, yeah.
I have on
But
this?
why can't you have a great show like that in these days where they have to drag the Super
I
Bowl
know.
halftime show off the stage in cuffs?
So another one I had is Led Zeppelin.
Led
They
Zeppelin.
could have had Led Zeppelin.
There you go. I can't believe I missed that, John. You're
Right. They
absolutely
could have had Led Zeppelin. They blew it. The other one they really blew, if you ask me, they could have had Queen. They never had
Ooh,
Queen.
there you are, man. There you are. Right. Exactly. That's,
So,
I mean, and absolutely, it's Robert Plant
Freddie?
Freddie at his height. Break glass, boys. This guy
Right.
could hit notes that were unreal.
Right. And again, to your point, there's not really been any heavy metal. Now, I wouldn't call Queen and Led Zeppelin heavy metal, but
No, absolutely not.
a little more rocking than what they've had.
Yeah, I don't know who buys into this. I would almost say on that there is possibly some element that they may be bidding on get who gets to play the Super Bowl.
Right.
And record companies may be bidding, doing an auction against each other to see whose entertainment gets to whose list of stars gets to play the Super Bowl.
Right. But well, like you said, you look at the history, the first 24 years, they really missed the boat. And then it's like, okay, let's get Michael Jackson in here and see what happens. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, right. Now,
You gave me your senses.
right, exactly, because that was the height of performers at that point,
Right.
in time. So it is what it is, man. So do you have that statistical data correlated for the entertainment for every time the greatest quarterback that ever lived played in the Super Bowl?
That would be Joe Montana.
That would be Joe Montana.
That would be Joe Montana. Let's see. What, in the 90s.
Yeah, I think that even goes back to the 80s, 88 for sure.
Yeah, we got 90s. What am I doing here? Let me look it up.
What year? What?
Let me go electronic.
There you are. What years were Joe Montana in the Super Bowl? I say 88 was one of them.
I'm going to go down there. I'll just go down the 80s. I mean, I think he won, what, 3 in the 80s. So 80 was the marching bands. I mean, again, we're talking 80, 81 were marching bands. 82 was Up with People. I mean, it's just a mess of marching bands, dude.
What a
He was screwed. The 80s are all marching bands and Up with People. It's crazy.
How can you blow that deal?
So
they should have called somebody who had his pulse on the demographic from the 70s on. They should have let Ron Popeil book all the accents. He always had his finger on the pulse of that demographic.
Yes, yes, he did. Well, Chris, that's all I got. You want to wrap it up?
No, I'm good. Go Chiefs. Speaking of Joe
Chiefs.
Speaking of Joe Montana,
Oh, yes.
who would give an old man a job? Go Chiefs, man.
Do you want? I was going to plug our new email address and our soon-to-be website if you want to close us out.
Let her rip.
Okay, you can email us at onefortheroadpodcast@gmail.com. Our website will soon be up. It's onefortheroad.net. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, One for the Road. And that's all I got, Chris.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Go Eagles.
Thanks for
fly. Eagles fly.
Eagles fly. See you, boys.
See you guys.